Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brandon Davis. I'm the founder of the Rags to Riches community. I am highly unqualified to give you any advice about anything. I barely graduated high school. Do not like or comment on any of my videos, and please do not subscribe. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. My name is Brandon. I am the founder of the Rags to Riches community. As mentioned in our intro, do not like, comment, or subscribe to my video because that would make me so upset. Let's talk about eHEX versus HEX. We've got a lot of folks that are confused about what the difference is between these two. You will also see these two referred to as eHEX or pHex, which is Pulse Hex or Ethereum Hex. So what the hell does that mean? Well, let's find out here. These are the people in your life that report your memes. And have you guys ever played that game where if somebody looks at your hand like that, right, you get to kick them in the ass? Moving on. eHEX versus HEX. What's the difference? This was the best way that I could figure out to explain this to you all. Okay, so we have a family. The family's name is the Smiths. They live in the great state of Texas. Okay, so what happens to the Smiths? The Smiths are cloned. Mom, Dad, Johnny, Jennifer, the toddlers, the babies, the cat, the dog. The Smiths are cloned. All right. And the Smiths are cloned over here, an exact copy of the Smiths. But it's different now because these Smiths are citizens of Virginia. These Smiths are citizens of Texas. Okay. So, same last name, clones of each other. They don't know each other. And now they are citizens of two completely different states. So we can say that they're two completely different entities, right? Different decisions will be made by the Smiths in Virginia than the Smiths in Texas. So they are genetic clones, but that's as far as that goes. So how do we translate that into our crypto world here? So let's check it out. It's pretty much the same, okay? So instead of Texas, you have Ethereum. And then instead of the Smiths, you have eHEX or Ethereum Hex, okay? So Ethereum is the blockchain. eHEX is the coin associated with the Ethereum blockchain. So it's referred to as eHEX. So what happens? You know, Richard Hart, he snaps his fingers, he does his God thing, he creates Pulse Chain. And the second that he creates his Pulse Chain, what he's going to do, he's going to basically clone eHEX and send it over to the Pulse Chain. Now, this can be referred to as pHex. You'll see that a lot online, on Reddit, on YouTube, etc., etc. But we'll just refer to this as HEX because HEX on the Pulse network, it's going to be called HEX. It's not going to be called pHex. So what happened here? So we've got two completely different coins, all right? Now, in terms of how they operate, in terms of how the smart contracts operate, they're exactly the same. But they're going to behave differently on these two networks. Okay? Ethereum is going to be cooking, doing its own thing. eHEX, it's going to have its own price initially. Pulse Chain, it's going to essentially launch at zero. The HEX on Pulse Chain will launch at zero. Now, this is important to know. If you have a MetaMask wallet and you have any Ethereum-based coin in that MetaMask wallet, the important thing to know, and you can do a Google search. You're going to Google search ERC20 coins or tokens. You're going to do a search. If you hold any of those in your MetaMask wallet, those will also be copied over to the Pulse network, Pulse chain. Okay? So they're going to be exact copies. They're going to be exact clones. They're going to have the same type of tokenomics, et cetera, et cetera. But it's going to be in a completely different blockchain. Just like this, the Smiths in Texas are going to operate differently than the Smiths in Virginia, even though they're copies. Okay, but they're different citizens of different states. They've got different rules to play by. All right, so we've established that. So what's the significance of this? Like I said, any Ethereum-based token that you hold in your MetaMask wallet will be copied or cloned over to its Pulse derivative. So we've got Ethereum HEX and we've got Pulse HEX. Well, Brandon, what's the situation with price? Okay, well, let's take a look at that. Ethereum HEX, prior to the snapshot and airdrop, Ethereum HEX, you might have 1,000 HEX on Ethereum, right? Those 1,000 HEX, let's say it's worth 25 cents, so $250. So you've got 1,000 HEX. It's the price of 1,000 HEX right now. It's 25 cents per, so it's $250. When this gets transferred over and it turns into the Pulse derivative of HEX, which is, we'll just call it HEX, Pulse HEX, you'll still have 1,000, but technically on day 0, second 0, unless something changes that we don't know about, this is going to be worth 0. Well, why is it worth 0? Well, the reason it's worth 0 is just like I said before. Remember, these are two different states. They're copies. Now, this family might have a net worth of 250,000, but this family is going to have a net worth of 0 because they haven't worked yet. They just got transferred over here to Virginia. They haven't made the same types of decisions that the Smiths over here did. So initially, it's going to be worth 0. Now, the question becomes, how quickly are we going to find price buoyancy? How quickly is the 25-cent Ethereum HEX going to match or be very close to the 25-cent Pulse HEX? We don't know. It could take a week. It could take months. It could take hours. It could take minutes. It's going to take those first couple bids to figure out, what are going to be some of the first prices for Pulse HEX. So if you guys understand this, you understand that it's going to be copied over to your wallet. You're going to have an equivalent amount, but it's not going to be an equivalent value. All right. So what we think is, Ethereum, it might be here, the HEX version, or the Ethereum version of HEX might be here. The Ethereum version or the Pulse version of HEX might be here. Initially, price might shoot up higher. And then Ethereum might drop a little bit. And eventually what you're going to find, hopefully, we think that there's going to be some type of buoyancy. If there's not buoyancy, there's going to be arbitrage opportunities. But, even if we have bots, if you're just thinking about it from that perspective, arbitrage, the market will balance the arbitrage bots out too. Buy high, sell low. Buy low, sell high. Yeah. But there is a buy high, sell low type thing. Actually, sell low, buy high. Yeah, we'll get to it. Strategies. So with all of that said, what are some strategies to play this right now? And these are just a couple that I thought of off the top of my head. It would be very prudent of you to get involved in the community and ask some questions and just chop it up with people. There's some pretty smart people out there. So first strategy. You can stake HEX. If you didn't know that you could stake your HEX, you can go to go.hex.com. Make sure you have a MetaMask wallet. You can connect your HEX that's in your MetaMask wallet to go.hex.com, and you can stake there, and there's a couple other places. But you stake your eHEX, and you have a copy of your stake on the Pulse network with the Pulse HEX. Well, Brandon, are you saying that not only if we have just free-floating HEX in our wallets, but if we have stakes, those stakes copy over as well? Yeah, the stakes are going to copy over. The free-floating HEX that's in your wallet that isn't staked, it'll copy, but also all of your stakes will copy as well. So that's going to be the first simple strategy, right? Second strategy, you're going to stake eHEX, Okay, so you're going to do your stake. You're going to buy liquid eHEX, so you're going to have liquid just chilling in your wallet. And you're going to have copies of both the staked eHEX and the purchased eHEX. You'll have copies of those on the Pulse network. Now remember, it's going to be equivalent amounts. It won't be equivalent of value initially. Third option here is stake and or buy eHEX. After airdrop, send your liquid eHEX to Pulse. So you staked your HEX, you got your copy sent over to Pulse, but then you buy your eHEX and you also send that over to Pulse. And when you do that, you can swap it for the Pulse network HEX. You can actually swap it, so it's going to be a much higher price probably than the Pulse network HEX. So you can buy a whole lot more Pulse HEX for the amount of money that you have invested in the regular eHEX. Now, you got to be very, very careful with that, and I'll go over why here in just a second. The fourth option, this is for you degens. Let's just say you get a loan for $100,000. You buy HEX just before the snapshot. You get your copy of your HEX that you just purchased for $100,000. You get that copy on Pulse. And then you sell your HEX back to US dollars and pay off your loan very fast, while keeping your Pulse HEX at very little interest charged from the bank. So does that make sense? So maybe you have some stocks, maybe you have some other crypto. You swap it over for HEX just before the airdrop. It's going to copy over to Pulse, so you'll have that copy there. You have that amount, whatever that is, not that value, but that amount. And then you'll take you could take all your HEX and send it back to where it came from. Okay? And it's kind of like getting almost free tokens if you play it that way. This is much more risky, obviously, than anything else. But some people might be selling some of their stocks to get a piece of this. Somebody might be selling some of their crypto. So it's just something to think about. HELOCs have interest-only options. So, on $10,000, if you put $10,000 in, maybe you're only paying about $33 a month on that $10,000 with interest only at 4.25%, whatever the case it is right now. The other thing that you can do, and this is something to consider as well. Now remember, Pulse is launching. You could send all of your HEX over to the Pulse network, and you can convert everything into Pulse. Pulse does a 100, 200, 300x. You got a couple thousand in the bank. Do the math. It's a lot of dough. All right, considerations. Don't do anything stupid. By stupid, I mean do not put yourself in a situation that you don't have a surefire plan to get out of. So if you do something stupid, like you get a loan out, and you're trying to bet that everything's going to be okay, well, what happens if right after the launch, the eHEX price tanks because everybody shifts their eHEX over to Pulse, and then you can't swap it back, and then it gets kind of messy, right? You can't swap it back and pay that loan off, so you got to be very careful, okay? You got to think about it. There might be a way to get out of it from the Pulse side and then still pay your loan off, but you just got to think. Don't be dumb. Don't put yourself or your family in a bad situation. We don't know what the prices of these coins will be initially. This will be a network in its absolute infancy. There will be arbitrage opportunities initially, but price neutral buoyancy could be achieved quicker than we expect. There's a lot of people chomping at the bit right now to get a piece of that Pulse HEX and also to get a piece of that Pulse right when it launches. So that price may not be as low as we expect for as short as or long as we expect. Could be minutes. Could start out 0 and shoot up. We just don't know. Okay. At the very least, you will get a copy of whatever you have at the snapshot on the Pulse. So if you don't do anything else and you're just happy with what you have and this video completely confuses you, just know that whatever you have in your MetaMask wallet in terms of stakes or in terms of liquid ERC20 tokens, HEX, or whatever else you have, just don't forget that you're going to get copies of that sent over to Pulse. Enjoy the ride. Don't wait too long to make your move. Waiting to purchase HEX for 90 days could mean that you miss out on a 2x or more as the price pumps just before the snapshot and people FOMO in. So some people say, well, I'll just wait to move all of my other crypto over until the last couple days or maybe the day of the snapshot, which is a reasonable thing to do. That seems logical, but when you think about it, you got to remember that price from now compared to 90 days, the price of HEX is probably going to be much higher in 90 days. You could see a 50-cent HEX, you could see a $1 HEX, somewhere in between. So you just got to be very careful about that, because $1,000 invested now could be a whole lot more pulse HEX than investing the day of, because the price is going to be double or triple what it is now. All right, so don't forget about that. You'll have a whole lot more power and leverage. If you buy now, you'll potentially have more upside at Pulse Chain launch. You'll have more appreciation of your funds, okay? So wanted to make this video, wanted to go over these things. This is just chopping it up. I'll come up with some more solutions. Admittedly, I didn't do a massive amount of research. This is just stuff that came off the top of my head. Don't drag your feet, okay? This is a big opportunity. And I hate sounding like a shill, but I'm telling you right now, don't drag your feet. You're going to watch this video. You're going to see people talking about it. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. You're going to wait. You're going to drag your feet, and you're going to really regret it. You could regret it within the first month when the price 10x's. Okay, so really, really, really think about it. Use all of your God-given intelligence and tenacity to stop at nothing to come up with a plan in the next 60 to 90 days. Maybe you need to come up with a way to get some money. We'll figure it out. Work some extra shifts. $500. If you invested $500 into HEX on day one, you'd be worth quite a few million. All right. If you strike it rich because of my YouTube channel, you owe me 3.14% of all your earnings. Have fun. And folks, please join us in our Telegram channel. We are a bunch of adults. Oh my God, how did this get here? How did that get here? That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, we're in a bunch of adults in our Telegram channel. Come on through. It's not paid. Don't charge anybody anything. We just teach each other and we learn from each other and we try to win. Okay? If you have any questions or concerns, let us know. Link in the description. Thank you so much and have a great evening.